Welcome to Whispered Shadows, where we dive into chilling modern mysteries. Tonight, we're exploring 5 unsettling disappearances from the 21st century, cases that defy explanation, even in our hyper-connected world. These are people who had plans, families, and futures, then vanished without a trace. We'll break down the timelines, the strange clues, and the wildest theories. Each story is a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving families and investigators searching for answers. Let's get started and see if we can shed some light on these whispered shadows. Our first case is Maura Murray, a bright, athletic, and ambitious 21-year-old nursing student who vanished without a trace in 2004, leaving behind a mystery that has haunted her family and the internet for years. On February 9th, Maura sent an email to her professors, explaining she'd be missing class for a week due to a family emergency. But there was no emergency. Her family had no idea she was planning to leave. She also made a series of phone calls, including one to inquire about renting a condo in Vermont, hinting at a secret plan. That afternoon, she packed her black 1996 Saturn sedan with clothes, textbooks, toiletries, and a box of wine. She stopped at an ATM, withdrawing nearly all the money she had, just $280. She also bought alcohol at a nearby liquor store, her demeanor calm and collected on surveillance footage. As night fell, Maura drove north into the White Mountains of New Hampshire, a region she loved from childhood trips. Around 7:30 p.m., her car crashed on a remote, snowy road in the small town of Haverhill. A local bus driver stopped and offered help, but Maura insisted she'd already called for roadside assistance, even though cell service was non-existent in that area. She seemed shaken, but not injured, and declined further help. The bus driver left to call police from his home. When officers arrived just minutes later, Maura had vanished. Her car was locked, and her wallet, cell phone, and backpack were missing, items she would have needed to survive the freezing night. Search dogs picked up her scent, following it for about 100 yards down the road before it abruptly disappeared. This led investigators to believe she may have gotten into another vehicle, possibly with someone she knew, or a stranger. There were no footprints leading away from the scene, no sign of a struggle, and no evidence of where she went. The only clues left behind were a locked car, a box of wine with a red stain in the snow, and a sense of growing unease. Theories abound. Did Maura stage her own disappearance to start a new life? Did she succumb to the harsh winter elements, lost and alone? Or did she accept a ride from someone with sinister intentions, never to be seen again? Her family, especially her father Fred, has never stopped searching. He spent years combing the woods, organizing searches and pleading for answers, refusing to let Maura's memory fade. Nearly 2 decades later, there's still no trace. No body, no credible sightings, and no solid leads. The case remains open, with more questions than answers. Maura's disappearance has become one of the internet's most enduring mysteries, spawning countless theories, podcasts, and online sleuths determined to crack the case. A young woman, a dark road, and a trail that goes cold in the night. The story of Maura Murray continues to captivate and confound, a haunting reminder of how quickly someone can vanish. What happened to Maura Murray? Was she running from something, or towards something? Or did fate simply catch up with her on that lonely road? The answer is still out there, waiting to be found, hidden somewhere in the cold silence of the New Hampshire woods. Next, we head to Minnesota, a place known for its quiet towns, endless fields, and winding rural roads. But in 2008, this peaceful landscape became the backdrop for one of the state's most haunting mysteries. Brandon Swanson, just 19 years old, vanished without a trace after his car ended up stuck in a ditch late one May night. He was a college student heading home after celebrating the end of the semester with friends. Like so many young people, he thought he could handle the drive, but a wrong turn on those dark, unfamiliar roads changed everything. Brandon called his parents for help, convinced he was near the small town of Lind. But when investigators later checked his cell phone records, they discovered he was actually about 25 miles away, near Porter. The confusion over his location would prove critical in the hours that followed. For 47 agonizing minutes, Brandon stayed on the phone with his dad, describing his surroundings as he walked along gravel roads in the pitch-black night. He mentioned passing fences, hearing the rush of water nearby, and trying to find a way back to a main road. His parents, desperate to find him, drove up and down the roads, honking their horn, hoping he'd see or hear them. Suddenly, Brandon's voice broke through the darkness. He shouted, "Oh, see!" And then, just like that, the call ended. His parents tried calling back again and again, but there was only silence on the other end. His parents searched all night, retracing every possible route, calling his name into the darkness. But there was no sign of Brandon, no footprints, no dropped belongings, nothing to point them in the right direction. When police joined the search, they traced his phone and found his car abandoned near Porter, not Lind as he'd believed. The car was empty, and there were no clues to suggest where Brandon had gone. Search dogs picked up his scent and followed it for nearly 3 miles, leading investigators through fields and along the edge of the Yellow Medicine River. The trail ended abruptly at the riverbank, as if Brandon had simply vanished into thin air. The leading theory is that Brandon may have fallen into the river that night, swept away by the current. But despite extensive searches, by foot, by boat, and even with sonar, no trace of him was ever found. No body, no clothing, not a single piece of evidence. Other theories have emerged over the years. Some believe Brandon became disoriented and wandered off into the fields, succumbing to the elements. Others wonder if he encountered someone else that night, someone who didn't have good intentions. The uncertainty has fueled endless speculation and heartbreak. Brandon's parents never gave up. Their tireless search and advocacy led to the passing of Brandon's Law, which now requires law enforcement to act quickly when adults go missing, regardless of age or circumstances. Their hope is that no other family will have to endure the same agony. Yet, the central question remains, what really happened after that final, panicked shout? The mystery lingers, haunting everyone who hears Brandon's story. Brandon Swanson vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only heartbreak, unanswered questions, and a legacy that changed Minnesota law forever. A late-night phone call, a lonely riverbank, and a family still searching for answers. Where did Brandon go? And will we ever know the truth? Now a case that's haunted the internet. Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German tourist who vanished in Bulgaria in 2014. What began as a fun summer trip with friends to the lively Golden Sands resort would soon spiral into one of Europe's most baffling missing person mysteries. After a minor fight outside a bar left him with a ruptured eardrum, Lars was advised by a doctor not to fly. His friends, unable to stay, returned to Germany, leaving Lars alone in a foreign country, nursing his injury and waiting for medical clearance. Alone, his behavior turned increasingly paranoid. He called his mother late at night, whispering that men were after him and begging her to cancel his credit cards. He claimed he was being followed and that he didn't feel safe in his hotel. He even texted her, asking about the side effects of the antibiotics he'd been prescribed. The next day, Lars checked out of his hotel and made his way to Varna Airport's medical center, hoping to get the all-clear to finally fly home. He seemed anxious, but cooperative, as he waited for the doctor. Suddenly, something spooked him. Witnesses say he muttered, "I don't want to die here," before bolting out of the clinic. He left behind his luggage, passport, wallet, and phone, everything he owned. Security cameras captured his frantic escape. Lars sprinted through the airport, out a side door, and over a barbed wire fence. He disappeared into a vast sunflower field that bordered the airport, vanishing from sight in the early morning light. He was never seen again. Despite extensive searches, no one has found a single trace of Lars. No clothing, no belongings, no body. Police, search dogs, and volunteers combed the fields and nearby forests for weeks, but the trail went cold almost immediately. The case became a sensation online, with internet sleuths poring over every detail. Was it a psychotic break triggered by his head injury or the antibiotics? Some experts suggest a rare reaction could have caused hallucinations or paranoia, or was he truly being chased as he claimed? Did someone have a reason to harm him, or was it all in his mind? Or did he simply vanish into the wild, overwhelmed by fear and confusion, running until he could run no more? Some speculate he tried to start a new life, but his actions seemed driven by raw terror, not careful planning. He left everything behind in a moment of panic. Theories swirl, but the haunting footage of Lars running for his life is all that remains, a chilling reminder of how quickly someone can disappear. A man runs from everything into nothing. His story has become a symbol of modern mystery and fear. What was he running from, and where did he go? Was it danger, delusion, or something else entirely? Lars Mittank's disappearance is a modern enigma, a puzzle that continues to baffle investigators and armchair detectives alike. The sunflower field swallowed him whole, leaving only questions behind. Our next story takes us to sea. Rebecca Corium, a 24-year-old crew member on the Disney Wonder cruise ship in 2011. Rebecca was last seen on CCTV at 5:45 a.m., visibly upset while on the phone in a crew area. She never showed up for her shift, and a ship-wide search found nothing. The official theory: she was swept overboard by a rogue wave, but her family never believed it. Her keycard and flip-flops were found, but her parents say they weren't hers. Private investigators uncovered rumors of a toxic work environment and possible foul play. Some crew members whispered about a relationship with a senior officer and a cover-up. The investigation, led by a single Bahamian officer, left many questions unanswered. Rebecca's parents believe she was in distress after a traumatic event, not an accident. The truth remains hidden beneath corporate secrecy and conflicting stories. Rebecca stepped onto a cruise ship and vanished, leaving only a grainy video and a family desperate for answers. Was it an accident or something darker? The sea keeps its secrets. Our final case is Brian Schaefer, a 27-year-old medical student who disappeared from a Columbus, Ohio bar in 2006. Brian was last seen entering the Ugly Tuna Saloon with friends. Security cameras covered the only public entrance and exit. He was separated from his friends inside. They left, assuming he'd gone home. But Brian never left the bar, at least not on camera. Police reviewed hours of footage. Every patron was seen leaving, except Brian. No evidence he used a service exit, and no sign of him in the construction area behind the bar. Theories range from foul play to voluntary disappearance, but nothing fits. He was about to propose to his girlfriend and had a promising future. His father searched tirelessly until his own death, and his girlfriend called his phone for years, hoping for a miracle. Brian Schaefer walked into a bar and vanished, leaving behind a video loop with no ending. How does someone disappear from a place with only one way in or out? The mystery endures, haunting everyone who searches for answers. Where did Brian go? The cases of Maura Murray, Brandon Swanson, Lars Mittank, Rebecca Corium, and Brian Schaefer remain unsolved. For their families, time stopped the day they vanished. What do you think happened? Share your theories in the comments. Thank you for joining me on Whispered Shadows. Let's keep these stories alive. If you have information, contact authorities. Even the smallest detail could matter. Until next time, stay safe and keep asking questions.